This year's theme for Child Welfare Workforce Development Month is Take a Moment. Today, we're exploring this concept with our team and sharing advice for how child welfare professionals, students, and other staff can take moments for pause, reflection, and self-care. What would you tell students pursuing a career in child welfare to take a moment to do?
Take a moment to celebrate yourself, your small victories, no matter how small it is, and the work that you've done. Celebrate it. This is a tough field, and the work that you do is hard, and sometimes it may feel like it's going unnoticed. So take a breath, stay calm, and celebrate the victories. You are doing a great job, and also remember to do a lot of self-care. Like, you deserve it.
Please share your advice for how a child protective investigator can practice the Take a Moment theme.
Well, I'd ask them to do a gut check and say, are you feeling stressed? Are you living from crisis to crisis? Do you have a work-life balance, or do you feel like you just can never get on top of it? And then I would say, like most of us, this work is driven a lot by crisis. And so I always try to take the last 10-15 minutes of my day, set a hard boundary, and reserve those minutes to think about the next day, and maybe even plan in some windows when I know that I will have free time I could handle a crisis that comes up. And so that way I can take a few minutes to kind of plan the next part of the day, and I find that helps the whole day. It helps me get ahead of that kind of crisis mentality. If you really want extra bonus, I try to take the first 45 minutes of the day to work on something that I have to focus on. Before I even open my email, I can sit down and focus on that. So that's like an extra hour a day, but 10 minutes really minimum. And if you do that, I think for a week, you start to get out of that crisis and really get into a place where you feel like you're having some healthy boundaries and a good work-life balance.
What are ways our frontline workers, like case managers, can take a moment?
I would like to tell a fellow child welfare professional to take a moment to invest in themselves. What I mean by that is small things throughout the day, like taking your lunch away from your desk or out of the office to get some time kind of to yourself and away from everybody else. I would like to tell them to take a moment to take a walk and listen to music, listen to a podcast. Don't talk about a case. Take some time to allow your brain to decompress. I would also like to tell them to take a moment to take breaks in between meetings. Don't schedule things back to back, and don't be afraid to ask for a delayed start time so you can have time to decompress from the last meeting. And lastly, I would like to tell child welfare professional leadership to demonstrate these actions for themselves and encourage and support their people to do the same.
As someone in a leadership role, how would you recommend other supervisors and leaders to take a moment?
I would tell a fellow professional to look up once in a while. So when I first moved out to Colorado, having come from Florida, I never lived anywhere with beautiful mountains and that scenery before. And right before I started my doctoral program, I knew it was going to become very hectic very quickly. And I told myself in that moment, I hope you never forget to look up at the beautiful scenery around you. So I would tell my colleagues to take a moment once in a while to look up from whatever it is that you're doing and take in whatever the scenery is around you, whether that's mountains, your kids, your friends, your family, and just enjoy that moment for a minute.
The Grow Center at the Florida Institute for Child Welfare has more opportunities for professional development and well-being support for all levels of the workforce. Learn more about our free programs at ficw.fsu.edu.